Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there tonight and having yourselves a great weekend out there so far. Got you, a try at the forecast next week. We're going to try to figure it out. Notice I said try twice, and that is because next week is going to be very difficult. Chances are, if you're in those areas that could potentially get affected by ice, your local meteorologist or weatherman or weatherwomen are probably having a hard time with this, and rightfully so. We know a lot of people are going to, at minimum, see a glaze of ice. But who's going to see like ice storm criteria ice, which to me is about a quarter inch of ice or more? Who's going to see maybe significant icing? We're still trying to figure that out, but we're starting to get a better idea and just more confident in general that we are going to have multiple rounds of frozen precipitation for certain areas. Maybe one area just sees one round, but none of that matters specifically right now. Right now, we're just trying to figure out who could see just winter weather in general, and then we'll talk about who could potentially see the most, because this is kind of difficult, guys. So this is going to be a lengthy video, and I say that all my videos are long, we know that, but we're going to try to figure it out for you guys and talk about what we do know at this range. And really, I say at this range, but pretty much it's going to start tomorrow for certain areas of the country, like Missouri and the Ohio Valley. So we're going to try to figure it out for you guys and give it a shot, and we'll continue to really hone in on this forecast, if you will, in the coming videos and try to figure it out, because I do worry that maybe portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, maybe into areas in the Mid-South could see a lot of ice. And then there's a little bit of a signal for the eastern U.S., including a big-time potent Arctic blast for the Northeast that could really give you 2, maybe 3 days, but really I'm looking at 2 days of extremely cold temperatures. Maybe borderline some of your coldest temperatures of the season. It's going to be hard to beat what happened in late December, but it really could be a potent cold shot of cold air. So we're going to try to figure it out for you guys. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and I really appreciate the ongoing support. Almost at 40K, guys. Really big deal. Really is, and I appreciate it. If you guys got anything I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Let's look at watches and warnings, see if there's any updates with this, and there isn't. Still winter storm warnings ongoing for areas in Nebraska and Iowa, but these will get dropped probably here in the coming 6 to 12 hours or so. It's snowing like crazy in Milwaukee and points south right now. Winter storm warnings actually got expanded southward into about 4 counties in northern Illinois, but you got winter storm warnings up for Michigan now, where the chances of more increased snowfall certainly is there now. Then you got winter weather advisories for a few counties in upstate New York and then northern sections of Maine. If you hear any kind of sound in the background, guys, my little girls are running their hands through a ton of Legos, and I can hear it, but I don't think you guys probably can. But I'm trying to not let it distract me as I'm doing my videos, but they're just playing with Legos like any kids do. But anyways, let's talk about what could happen with this system tomorrow for areas of the country. Snow has already began to move across Lake Michigan and move into Michigan this evening, and will continue to do so. There'll be an all-out snowstorm tonight for Michigan, but might not be considered a snowstorm for some of you folks as standards up here in Michigan. But if you're up in the middle of the night, if you're a night owl, it will be snowing pretty good. And a good portion of right in the heart of Michigan, right in central Michigan. Detroit, you'll probably mix with rain just due to the fact that this low pressure rides right over the city pretty much. But this will bring some snow into southeast Canada overnight, and then we're waking up tomorrow morning and this snow is beginning to spread into these areas that have winter weather advisories in northern New York State. Some snow will fall in New Hampshire and Vermont. This will be all rain again down here in the mid-Atlantic and Pennsylvania. And then as we're getting to about mid to late morning, snow will begin to overspread a good chunk of Maine. Certain areas might just see rain or nothing really, but Caribou, all these central and northern portions of Maine will certainly get, a few to maybe several inches of snow tomorrow. And we'll talk about snow accumulations. And let's go on and look at Michigan, kind of hoodooed you guys. Let's look at Michigan and what y'all guys could potentially see. Well, this event, tonight, some of it's already fell, obviously, but right in the middle of Michigan, 7, 8, maybe 9 inches of snow. But, north and south of this axis of heaviest snow, won't see as much. And, you look at what's going on in Milwaukee right now and surrounding regions. Here comes these waves of heavier snow. Milwaukee, really just south of Milwaukee, there's a pretty intense band of snow. But as you can tell, we're not in range of the radar here in Michigan, but it's snowing in Grand Rapids, snowing just outside of Lansing. And Grand Rapids will certainly pick up a good bit of snow overnight. So That's that. Let's look at the Northeast, how much snow this could give you guys, and then we'll move on to this icing events. And, overnight tonight, into tomorrow morning, a few to several inches of snow could fall in northern New York State, and then a couple inches of snow in northern New Hampshire and Vermont. And then basically central to northern Maine, we'll have a snow event tomorrow. Definitely will be a snowy Sunday for you folks, but nothing blockbuster by any means, but, just adding more snow to your to your winter numbers there. So let's go on and switch it to what's going to happen or what potentially could happen with this winter weather event. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about. We're going to actually take a look at some soundings, try to explain things in kind of a nerdy way, but in a way you guys can understand on why ice instead of snow at such cold temperatures. Because a lot of people are going to be wondering, well, Mitch, why is it 25 degrees and we're getting freezing rain? That doesn't make any sense to me. Remember, everything matters of how hot, what the temperature is above our heads, about 4,000 or 5,000 feet up in the air, 6,000 feet. You could have a warm nose of air that could go above 32 degrees. So we'll talk about that here in a second. So this is about right now. Well, let's actually try to upgrade this because I had to start the video over multiple times. And this is where the temperatures are right now. So I'm showing you this because this is that Arctic gradient. This is what temperature is right now, right? In Milwaukee, you're getting a snowstorm in the teens. So that's why you're getting probably incredible snowfall ratios because nothing's melting. I mean, even Chicago, whatever's falling in Chicago currently, you guys let me know. It's freezing. It's 30 degrees in Chicago and northern Illinois in the 20s. But look, I saw a graphic in Indianapolis earlier where one side of town was in the 30s and then the south side of town was in the 40s and 50s. So the gradient is wild. I mean, Columbia, Missouri, you're in the 50s, but if you go about an hour or two north, you're in the 20s. And look, I mean, you got all the way into the 60s in Oklahoma City today. It's hard to believe that you're going to have some potential for some significant icing on the way. Sleet, freezing rain, maybe a little snow, but I mean, it got all the way up into the 70s in Dallas-Fort Worth today, but this is that boundary. You see how tight the gradient is where, just 30 miles make a massive difference between temperatures. So this will continue to sag south in the coming hours and days. So we're going to break it down. First, we're going to start off what's closest to us, which is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's why we're just focusing in on Missouri and Illinois, and then we'll look a little bit further east. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the HRRR model. How could this unfold? So what's left over this moisture will pull off. And, I mean, already, you could potentially get you could wake up tomorrow in St. Louis and have some sleet, maybe freezing rain mix flying around. But one thing I want to tell you before we look at all this model guidance, guys, and is the fact that warm air advection and overrunning, typically there's more moisture than what the models show. There's a lot of shallow moisture, meaning there could be absolutely nothing on radar, guys. And you could be getting some flurries, some freezing drizzle. So it's the same thing when you look at these short-range model guidance. So sometimes it's not picking up on things. For example, tomorrow morning in Missouri, this is at around 7 a.m. in Missouri tomorrow. In Illinois. Notice you got little splotches of pink near St. Louis and a little bit of pink down here, but in general, you're not really seeing anything, right? So what we're looking at, sorry about that, guys. I had to stop the video really quick, help my little girl find a Lego that she was missing as she was building something. But anyways, like I said here, Missouri, even though you don't see anything on the latest HRRR model, over Missouri really, but a few splotchy areas of pink, which would symbolize freezing rain. I would not be surprised one bit. Not going to say there's a 100% chance, but I would not be surprised if there is just scattered freezing mist or freezing drizzle, freezing rain all throughout Missouri as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Would not be surprised one bit. So do not let it catch you off guard if you're Columbia, Missouri, St. Louis, all areas of Missouri. Just watch it. Just don't let it catch you by surprise. You heard it. I wouldn't say you heard it here first, but just don't be surprised by it at all. But as we're moving through about midday, guys, some more splotches of pink right here show up, and then we keep this rolling here. And as we're entering the evening hours around dinner time, 7 p.m., you got widespread freezing rain really showing up on the HRRR model. And this is when it becomes a concern. Sub-freezing temperatures of the surface well down into the 20s. Things will start to accumulate on the roadways, and just watch out if you're in the south central areas of Missouri. Tomorrow evening, conditions can really go downhill, and anything that falls or is on the trees, I think that it would stick around for a while because you got an Arctic air mass really settling in. It's not going to warm back up the next day and melt everything. It's going to be cold for a few days. So this continues, and this eventually moves into Illinois as we're getting late tomorrow night. Then we get in about in the middle of the night. It looks like you got widespread freezing rain. St. Louis into areas of south central and central sections of Illinois, and where you're a little bit further north, maybe a little bit of snow where there's just more cold air aloft. This might be all the way up into Chicago. You never know. Like I said, a lot of times this moisture and overrunning events is further north than what models show. You keep this going, waking up tomorrow morning, got a full-on wintry mix moving into Indiana. And in fact, we'll go on and switch it to the Ohio Valley section right here, doing this on the fly. And let's go back to the 18Z. All right, here we go. And like I said, we'll move this a little bit forward back to where we were at. And like I said, middle of the night tomorrow night, Sunday night into Monday morning, wintry mix begins to enter in the state of Indiana based off the HRRR model. Then we're waking up Monday morning, and you got an all-out wintry mix in the central Indiana. But like I said, I'll say it probably about 15 more times in this video. This could be more widespread, or maybe less widespread, but if I had to pick one or the other, I would say more widespread than what the models are showing. Then waking up Monday morning, and you got, maybe an area of snow going right through the heart of Ohio. And then you see these splotches of pink everywhere. This could be widespread freezing drizzle, freezing rain. It could be the models just could be struggling, okay? So how much ice is the National Weather Service showing with this event? Throughout the next, I would say, let's just say the next 48 hours, it's saying, hey, a solid glaze is possible in areas of Missouri down here. It's showing nothing in St. Louis, but I don't buy that. In fact, let's see if there's an updated. Yep, they've increased it already. They say there was a little bit of increase to the north, but still, a lot of this is falling right now. Ignore this, but really it's this right here. Between now and I would say Monday about midday, calling for a glaze. And then you see the darker pinks, that's over 1/10 of an inch of ice that is possible. So in general, this is a really scattered and smothered whatever forecast. It's not exact. It's kind of everywhere. It doesn't look that great, and it's just a shot in the dark. But in general, they're saying there's going to, at minimum, be freezing drizzle around. So don't let it catch you off guard. It's not a massive deal, but when it's really, really, really cold, sometimes that light freezing rain can really just steadily add up. And then suddenly you got an ice storm. So don't let this catch you off guard tomorrow, in Missouri especially. And then it'll move into the Ohio Valley probably tomorrow night. So this will be a tricky one for sure. And like I said, you look down here in Indiana, see what it shows. And, it doesn't show much for you guys. It doesn't show anything in Ohio. But, Indianapolis shows a little bit of a light glaze of ice, a couple 1/100ths of an inch of ice. So we'll see what this looks like in the coming hours. I'll be interested. So next thing you do is you go to the south central U.S. We're going to flip back and forth here and try to figure this out, because there's these sections that really need its own attention. So we'll look at the latest HRRR model. And what's interesting to me is watch this boundary right here as it sags south. We keep on going. Like tomorrow, it'll temporarily rise into the 50s tomorrow morning for Dallas-Fort Worth area. Overnight in the middle, probably this evening, it'll be into the 40s, drop into the 40s in Oklahoma City. You'll wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be at freezing and stay there for a while. And then we'll look at Texas tomorrow, which is really crazy to look at. You're into the 80s, right, near Brownsville, Texas. And then Amarillo, you're at 26 degrees for high temperature. So tomorrow will be one of those wild Texas temperature gradients where one part of the state is in spring, the other part of the state is deep into winter. I mean, look up here in Kansas. Most of the state of Oklahoma is beginning to dip below freezing. And even Arkansas, guys. I mean, the southern half of Arkansas into the 60s, maybe a 70-degree reading. And then the Ozarks is starting to drop below freezing as we're getting into about midday tomorrow. So this is a crazy boundary, and we got to watch, and this keeps on going. We'll go all the way out to about Monday morning, and by this time, we got sub-freezing temperatures in Dallas with a little bit of precipitation around. Maybe a lot of precipitation around Oklahoma and just west of Dallas. So it's going to be wild watching. Single digits starting to slip into Kansas and Missouri. But what about the precipitation? So we can take a look at the latest HRRR model, the one we were just looking at. And like I said, here's all that freezing rain showing up for these areas over here. But we'll take a look down here in the very end of the run. First off, we'll stop it here. This is around Monday morning. A little bit of freezing drizzle showing up just north or northwest and west of Dallas. in and around the city too. It's right at freezing probably Monday morning around the Dallas area as the Arctic boundary moves through overnight tomorrow night. But like I said, I'll say it again. This entire area right into here, and I'll actually circle it on the flyer. No, that's not what I want. I'll circle it on the fly here, but this entire area right into, oh man, let's see if we can get it together. Oh, I guess it's just not going to work for me, guys. I was trying to color something for you, but I guess it's not going to like it, so I'm not going to try to figure out. But anyways, I was trying to circle one area for you, but this entire area right here could certainly be seeing some freezing drizzle, some light freezing rain. It's just not showing up on this model run here. And like I said, it's just going to be a big situation where things just aren't going to show up. But at this point, it's below freezing in this part of Texas and Oklahoma, and we keep this going, and then all of a sudden you see an explosive area of almost a convective element to this freezing rain and sleet. This will definitely be falling in the form of sleet too. And all of a sudden, this last like 6 hours of this frame, you have a breakout of heavy freezing rain breaking out in and around the Dallas area, and especially just north and just west and even southwest of Dallas. This boundary is kind of swooping in like this and going like that. So why is there such a convective element to it? Meaning you could have a thunderstorm of freezing rain. I would not be surprised. And a thunderstorm of sleet and freezing rain mix. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Why is this? Because a lot of time with warm air advection, when you're just getting such an intense lift of moisture over this Arctic air, it can cause a convective nature. And you're wondering, what is convective? Well, thunderstorms, but winter weather. So it's going to be wild seeing what happens here with this. This could be a sudden ice storm. So like I said, the latest HRRR model is going wild with this idea. I'm going to be fascinated in seeing what the next long-range HRRR model shows for this area of Texas, Oklahoma. But it shows a huge area of heavy freezing rain and even some sleet mixed in, breaking out over North Texas and areas of Oklahoma. And this looks rather concerning, not going to lie. If we look at the NAM on what the latest the latest NAM shows, a lot of moisture down there to the south. And then look at all these just areas of freezing rain here in the middle of the night tomorrow night. The orange area you see right here, that's sleet. And just freezing drizzle into the Ozarks, into eastern Oklahoma. And then freezing drizzle into Dallas. Freezing drizzle as far south as central Texas. This orange is sleet, and we keep this going here. And then we'll watch as more moisture tries to develop right into here. I mean, it's everywhere, guys. Basically, if you're from this section of Texas all the way through Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, northern Arkansas, even to western areas of Tennessee and Kentucky, which I'll show here in a second. Man, this is a concern, guys. It really is, and it's going to catch some people off guard. I really do think it is. I've thought about it, the last couple of days, and a lot of people aren't seeing all this crazy pink on their map and thinking it's not going to be that bad. But a lot of times this overachieves, guys. I'm telling you. But this is for the areas of the Ohio Valley and the Mid-South, and this is getting into Monday evening at this point. And the NAM wants to show freezing rain in southeast Missouri, basically the Mississippi Valley right in here, western Kentucky, even a few counties in Tennessee. It even shows kind of just areas of snow and light snow and light sleet up here in the Ohio Valley and Illinois and Indiana. And then you keep this going here, and it becomes a lot more widespread at hour 60, which is midnight, Monday night into Tuesday morning. Look at this area of snow developing in Illinois and Ohio, and even southern sections of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and this area right here in orange. This is sleet over northern Kentucky, sleet in far southern Indiana, and then you got pink, which is the freezing rain in Kentucky. Freezing rain showing up in western Tennessee. We got to watch out, see how much further south this goes, because we don't know exactly where the Arctic boundary is going to set up, guys. We really don't. So that's the last frame of the NAM. So how much freezing rain from the National Weather Service are they thinking? Let's make sure we get the latest forecast here. And this goes all the way out through 73 hours, which is all the way to Tuesday evening. And, just north and just west of Dallas, they're saying close to ice storm criteria ice now, which is, you're starting to see tenth to a 20th of an inch of ice forecasted in portions of Texas right into here. Oklahoma points south, the same areas that got a good thumping of snow. Not as much as forecasted. I know you guys let me know it. But same areas that saw, winter weather a few days ago are going to get ice this time. And this is the freezing rain forecast in these sections. And then you got, freezing rain in the forecast for southeast Missouri, and not from the event really tomorrow. You'll get a glazed ice tomorrow, but for more to develops later next week. And, the darker pinks that's getting over a tenth of an inch of ice, guys. So, that's starting to get into a criteria that's beginning to get dangerous, especially with really cold temperatures. But you're seeing some ice being forecasted in some counties in northern and northwest Tennessee, Kentucky, and then in the Ohio Valley. So, I really think there could be an ice storm in these sections right here. If we go back to these areas, there's going to be an ice storm, I think, where you get over a quarter inch of ice in certain areas of Oklahoma and Texas. That's what I think. I really do. I think you're going to probably get ice storm criteria in northern Arkansas too. But we're going to see what's going to happen with this. A lot of people are wondering, why in the world are we just getting freezing rain and sleet? And by the way, there's going to be some sleet accumulations too, guys, but we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. Sleet accumulations do not show up well on models. I have yet to find a really good. There really isn't a good model. A lot of times, sleet is always overdone on models. It shows I don't think people realize how hard it is to get 3 inches of sleet. I mean, it has to sleet for like 8 to 10 hours of just moderate sleet. But trust me, I've seen 3 inches of sleet here in Columbia before in the winter storm back in mid-February. But I'm going to click on a sounding, right? And I'll explain. Most of you guys at least have an idea what a weather sounding is. It's what we look at to try to figure out what are the conditions above our heads. So I'm going to click on a sounding right here in southern Oklahoma where there's freezing rain falling, okay? First off, I want you to show you right off the dot is this. It's 26 degrees. You see down here at the bottom where it says 26 degrees in the red? That is the air temperature where you stand at the surface. The dew point, which is 23 degrees, and is in the green. Okay, don't really have to focus much on that. You see this 0 degrees, that means 0 degrees Celsius. And it starts off right here. And this line right here, this blue line, that is basically the 0 degrees Celsius line. Basically a 30 to 32 degree marking aloft. So you notice the temperature's way up here. Tens of 20s and about 30, 40,000 feet up in the air. Way up here is well below freezing. Okay, not an issue. Stays well below freezing. Then you get into about, you've been kind of about, I would say, several thousand feet up in the atmosphere. Okay, and look as the air temperature, several thousand feet up in the atmosphere, begins to get above freezing, which is that 0 degrees Celsius line. So it gets above 32 degrees. So it's probably snowing way up here. And then as it gets a little bit lower in the atmosphere, several thousand feet above our heads, those snowflakes melt the sleet and then melt the flat out rain. And it's actually pretty warm, about, I would say, 7,000 feet above our heads. Okay, so it actually gets to probably about 38, 39 degrees Fahrenheit. So all this frozen precipitation, whether it's snowflakes or sleet, snowflakes in this case, melt the sleet, then they melt just flat out rain. So it's raining up here, and then the temperature dips below freezing again, well below freezing, about 8 or 9 degrees below freezing into the low 20s. About, I would say, maybe 3,000 feet above our heads. So that's not enough time for whatever's falling to really refreeze back into sleet or freezing or snow in this case. So basically we call this a warm nose. It looks like a nose poking out, and basically it's an area of warm air aloft above our heads, whether it's a few thousand feet above our heads or whether it's several thousand feet above our heads. All this snow melts several thousand feet above our heads, and then it doesn't have time to really refreeze, so it falls to the surface as rain, but it's falling to the surface as rain at 26 degrees, so you have freezing rain. So I hope that makes sense. I did not explain it as good as I really wanted it to. I never do. Sometimes I'm like, man, I explained that really well. The next time it's like, man, I fumbled my words so much. But I hope that makes sense for you guys. just always remember, it's tough, guys. And a lot of people want to know, man, well, where is my snow? Well, your snows might be, 5 miles above your head, but it's a tough one. And the reason, the fact that you have so much warm air loss is because Arctic air is shallow, guys. It only stays really close to the surface. And when you have warm air advection, basically warm, moist air driving from the Gulf of Mexico kind of into this Arctic air mass, is overrunning this Arctic air mass. It overruns the top of it. So when it overruns the top of it, that Arctic air is at the bottom, and then the warm, moist air is on top. And then you got to get way further higher up than that to get into the Arctic air again, or the colder air. So hope that makes sense, guys. But, for my folks in the eastern U.S. wondering about winter weather here, I'll throw you guys a bone here and say, hey, maybe watch as we're getting, because the same Arctic boundary that's out here is in the eastern U.S. too, guys. In fact, it's going to get very cold in the Northeast potentially. But watch out as we're getting into, I would say, late Wednesday night, Thursday morning, for a little bit of snow for Washington, D.C., the Delmarva. Do I think it's going to accumulate to a massive amount? No, I do not. But this moisture feed continues. If you're in the South next week, I warned you guys, should have got some things done outside today. And if you don't, maybe you got time tomorrow too. I know I was outside just about all day today. Do it tomorrow if there's not rain in your forecast, because next week it's going to be go to work, come home, be in your house, because it's going to be very soggy. But moving forward here, there's another area of moisture that develops. And, it might be cold enough way up in the higher elevations to see a little bit of snow. Look at a little bit of blue kind of showing up in Mississippi back here Friday morning. I doubt it, but, that moves through. This extremely cold air mass rides over the Northeast. This suppresses this southern jet to the south. And then after that, nothing interesting happens. And really, you look at another system that flies up with kind of a high pressure that's kind of fleeting the area. And this is an area I want to watch late next weekend, about 8-9 days out, which is in La La Land in the weather world. I want to watch something right here, and I'm going to show you the GFS. It shows it too. But as basically this Arctic air is kind of fleeting the area, the high pressure that's still in place and kind of fleeting could be funneling in some cold enough air to maybe watch Sunday into Monday of next week for maybe a cold air damming scenario. But we'll certainly watch. But I know I didn't really show snowfall totals for you guys over here, but I'll show it to you. But, maybe a dusting of snow, guys, with this. But I really think this is going to be a lot of freezing rain with some sleet and a little bit of snow. So sorry I didn't show you the snow for you folks out here. But, it's a tough one, guys. You look at the Ohio Valley, shows a little bit of snow for you guys. But, I think this is going to be more so icing. That could change, though. But, the same cold air mass is going to get into the Northeast. For example, Boston and New York City, it's going to get very cold starting Monday into Tuesday, and it's going to be cold the rest of the week. It's going to be the heart of winter. Really is going to move in the last couple days of January into the first several days of February, and I really think your coldest day could potentially be Friday or either Saturday. I really think Saturday will be a day that's going to be extremely cold for you folks in the Northeast, and even down here in the Southeast, it's going to be a cold weekend, but we'll touch on that a little bit more later. But like I said, as this energy flies off, this is some big cold air damming kind of showing up for areas of the Southeast. You can see the isobars buckling like this. Powerful, powerful high pressure. A 1049 high pressure. That's extremely cold air right over the Northeast. I'm telling you guys, it's going to get bitterly cold in the Northeast this coming weekend. But as this is kind of fleeting out, it's still there and it's powerful. There could be some cold air damming, maybe some freezing rain in the Southeast. And you don't like that look. And the 12Z GFS showed the same thing. This is going to be something. There's nothing really anchoring in this high pressure here. If you can get some kind of 50-50 low, then you're going to have a significant cold air damming storm for the Southeast. But, we'll worry about that or try to figure that out if it keeps showing up. But that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and have yourselves a great rest of your night.